The most effective example of sustainable procurement implementation that I've seen since I've joined Action Sustainability was with an organisation called United Utilities. They're a water utility company up in the northwest and made a decision about 4 years ago at board level to start looking at how they were procuring, and a decision was made to actually start looking at sustainable procurement at the same time. This was achieved and arrived at mainly because there was a number of reputational issues the company had experienced, and they'd had a number of supply chain issues as well surrounding that. In order to successfully implement sustainable procurement, a toolkit was created a few years ago called the Flexible Framework. What they did was they actually took this toolkit and analysed their own organisation's procurement activities to identify where they'd got deficiencies. So they'd already identified they hadn't got the right tools in place, there wasn't anybody involved in sustainability, they hadn't defined any of their sustainability objectives. So what they actually did was produce an action plan identifying those key elements that needed to be implemented, and they successfully implemented that action plan over a 1 to 2 year period. One of those areas where it particularly worked well was the road maintenance area, where they were actually letting out civils packages to relay the road working after the pipe works had been done. And what they actually did was they took the sustainability policy, where they identified a number of sustainability priorities. They prioritised them through the road maintenance package and launched a tender based on those priorities. So their request for information identified those particular impacts, the tender asked for solutions to those, and the tender was awarded on that criteria as well as all the others. What that successfully did was it allowed an action plan to be put in place with a successful bidder, who then had a plan on how he was going to start delivering some of the sustainability objectives, and they had a workshop designed to support that, identifying key impacts and key performance indicators that they could then roll out through the duration of the contract. The key areas for success that actually helped the implementation of this contract, I think, were threefold. They had very, very good leadership from an organisational perspective. The board endorsed any sustainability requirements, and on top of that, they proactively pursued them. So it wasn't just a case of rubber stamping them. They wanted to know what they were doing. The other issue was they had a very good fundamental base. They took time to define their requirements. They took time to define their policy. So suppliers knew and understood completely what was required of them. And lastly, more importantly than anything else, they took time. So they didn't actually run straight to the supply chain and ask them to go and do things until they were ready and they'd got the right people trained to the right competency level to speak to the supply chain in a way that they understood.